Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Duneske, where today I'm doing a lot of fiddling with the road system again, because that's apparently all I can do on this map. It really is at the moment. I'm just trying to get it all worked out properly, and yeah, so you can see here I'm trying to make a curve out of 1 meter sections, and it's not as easy as you might expect. A bit of tea there. It's not as easy as you might expect because, and yes, I got a message on Facebook. I get a couple while I'm recording, usually, because I'm using OBS. They actually show up a bit more conspicuously, and this is me trying to fix the end of it now. It's not as easy to create the turn as you'd expect, because you got to try and get, curves made out of 1 meter sections, so you're kind of angling it less than you want the turn to angle, so that the next one can angle a bit differently. And it's a wonky turn, but it kind of fits. So after that, I kind of went looking for a section that I could do, and I kind of spotted that, I will be working on that section I was just hovered over eventually. But I kind of realised and noticed the roads were really, really wonky looking, and yeah, I decided that they had to be done now, because otherwise they would get on my nerves, and yeah. So, and don't worry, I took a bit of a break in the middle of doing all of the roads, because all the roads have been fixed now as of the end of this video. And yes, I recorded another video afterwards because I wanted to do more work, so I got about 5 hours I think I spent working on Duneske today. I feel like I did well, although I did start more than 12 hours ago. And I'm only just now recording the voiceover. I started about 8 o'clock this morning. It's now 9 PM. Also, I think I fixed my sleeping pattern because I'm half asleep. So once this video is, once I get this voiceover in and the video rendered, I'm going to bed. And I'm drinking a cup of tea because why not drink a cup of tea while recording? So yeah, this was, it's mainly me fixing roads, which I know isn't very interesting, but it's something that needed to be done sooner or later, and if it got on my nerves too much, I may have just quit the map entirely. So I figured it was better to do it now than to leave it for a few weeks to a few months. And as you can see, progress is kind of slow because I am trying to get all the other videos out at the same time, and I can't really use GE. I might try and use GE while I'm rendering potentially tomorrow being Friday, because I'm gonna record the voiceover for tomorrow's video tomorrow. Wow. Because I'm just too tired at this point. I've been falling asleep for the past 3 or 4 hours now, if not a bit more, and I'm just kind of giving up on getting both of the videos done today and just kind of admitting defeat. I know I did say I was supposed to be going in to get a new phone on Friday, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen at this point. But the advantage of that is, the upside is, it does mean that if I get up early, I can try and sort out some video content in the morning-ish, and I can actually tidy my room, because that's something I didn't do today. And now I'm out of tea. Wonderful. So yeah, it's really hard to think of something to talk about when, nothing is happening on screen, because you're just buzzing about trying to fix terrain. And for anybody interested, yes, terrain fixing is even is just so mind-numbingly dull. I had YouTube videos playing the entirety of the time I was doing this, which is why, one of the two reasons I've got no sound turned on, other than my voice. One is because it's Giant's editor. There is no sound. The second is because I was watching Ian Robson, and I pretty much just went through my entire subscription list for the day this morning and watched everyone, which was, I guess, good, but at the same time bad, because I spent the rest of the day trying to figure out something to do while I was fixing the map up, because I was working on this most of the day. I ended up on Twitch, and that was kind of, yeah. But yeah, I've had a bit of a good day. I went to bed I don't know if some of you guys know this, or do this yourselves, but have you ever had one of those nights where you just physically cannot sleep, and you end up staying awake all night, and you're just like, now what, in the middle of the day? That was me yesterday. Yesterday I was just completely dead for most of the day, just desperately trying to get to a reasonable hour to go to bed. And once it hit 10 o'clock, I was in bed. I fell asleep at about 11, and that was the end of my day. Oh, I decided to just randomly swap back onto doing the laneways for some reason. Oh yeah, I was just fixing up that one segment so that I could get a better idea of where the lane went, and then I kind of started hopping around and started going everywhere. But yeah, yesterday I was just kind of trying to stay awake until, as I decided, 10 o'clock. When I hopped into bed, went to sleep at about 11 because it was freaking cold, and I woke up at 12. Woke up at midnight because I needed the toilet, and, you know, when nature calls, you've got to answer. I was kind of annoyed, and luckily that actually benefited me in the long term, because I discovered that yesterday's video was stopped uploading because the internet was turned off, which was not necessarily good. Then I went back to bed and slept through till about 5 this morning, which means I didn't sleep enough. I probably didn't sleep enough. So yeah, I'm kind of running on empty the last couple of days, which is not good for me at all. It actually affects my mental state. I've noticed it just today that if I what am I trying to say? If I'm too tired, I tend to go on a downer, and a really bad one at that. So I can get reasonably depressed, and I'm just looking at the thing here in the movie studio, and I do remember now that I actually made a relatively major decision during this segment of the video. So we'll get to that in a few moments. Just kind of working our way towards it now, and it will be on this laneway. So I made two major decisions. The first was to bring this laneway out to the left here, and that's because I had a plan. I had an idea, and that was me faffing about doing other things on my computer. That little flash there, that was a thing I did during recording, not something weird that YouTube has done, or something that I've inserted myself. No, that was something I did when I was recording. I forgot that Windows 10 did that. What was I trying to do? I think I was trying to get a calculator or something. And I'm just going to have a cigarette while I'm talking to you guys here, because I'm terrible like that. Yeah, you can see that my taskbar is an absolute disaster, and always is and always will be. That's just a fact of life with me. But you can see that, yeah, it does look like I'm making really fast progress. I had my mouse set on its least sensitive setting for the entirety of this, which is 500 dpi. For those of you who know mice, you'll know that's ridiculously low. I've got Windows 10 set up too, so the mouse is at its most accurate as well. So that was just me kind of fixing that up. I think I'll put in another curve here as well. Yeah, I do. Well done me for remembering. Well, I'd have to put in another curve because I just, yeah. And I could probably have just thrown in a 90 there, and that's... Yeah, here's the joy of fixing roads, is getting the angles. For me, I have to do this, I have to get the angles precisely right, otherwise I'll get angry with myself. And, well, it has to be right so that it looks right. It doesn't have to be 100%. Well, this is, you know, 0.000001 of a degree off. No, it has to be enough so that the lines all mesh up and whatnot. And as I was fixing the roads, and I don't know if it's in this video or not, but as I was fixing the roads, I actually realized that I had made a bit of I'm gonna call it a cock up, if you'll excuse my French. And one of the roads was 4 centimeters too high. One of the road segments, and luckily it was towards the western end of the map. What will be the western end, I guess. And here's me just kind of deciding that. Here's me fixing up some fields because I got a bit bored, and this is when I kind of decided the roads needed to be fixed. Shortly afterwards. I don't know why I fixed up that field, because it was only going to get fiddled with again. So here's where I make the major decision, and the decision is, and I kind of been working towards it, so I already had the decision made at this point. The decision is to put in a T intersection here, and what I'll do is I'll put in a lane end section immediately afterwards. This is just me lining it up so it's perfect. And that, I think I decide that'll do. Nope. Nope. Yes. Yes. I've now decided that's perfect. And remember, this isn't 4 times normal speed, so I took 4 times longer than that to make the decision. So you can imagine how kind of precisely and slowly I do some of this stuff when you see the mouse barely moving, instead of just jumping around like a lunatic. It's actually kind of comical to watch the mouse just randomly fly around the screen. So here I'm putting in the lane end section, which is relatively easy to put in. I just flip it 180 degrees, precisely 180 degrees, and then I just bring the ground up to kind of meet up with it, not cover it. Not cover it entirely, and then I just go with some dirt around it to signify to myself. And a bit of gravel too. Just to signify to myself that that's where I'm going to put a yard or something. I'm not entirely sure yet what's going to go there. That might be where the BGA goes. But I'm going to put something in there. It may be a secondary yard, it may be animals. I honestly have no idea as of yet. But then I'm back to fixing the laneways and getting laneways in, and oh no, I've decided that isn't right. And this is kind of how I make them. How the mapping went today is just, I'm kind of hopping over and back, deciding between 2 different things and trying to fix 3 things at once, and it meant that I got a lot done. I really did get a lot done today, and I'm kind of proud of the amount of progress I made. Once I've got my room tidy, I can focus a bit more on that. However, I'll be working on the other project probably from Sunday again, which means Duneske is going to take a bit of a back seat again, which is unfortunate, but it kind of has to happen, unfortunately. And oh, now I'm in the second segment of the video because I took a long break. I can't remember if I went to get food or if I just did all the roads in that break, but I went for a bit of a break. And I think in fact I fixed all the roads during that break because I got annoyed. So we're back pretty much where we left off, and the rest of this video, as well as tomorrow's video, is just going to be me working my way up to the top of the hill, and actually over the top of the hill and to where we were working last week, where I was finishing off the loop around there, because I realized I could complete another loop if I brought this road up. So what I'm going to be doing for the next probably couple of weeks is just trying to get loops done on the roads, and once I get some bridges in and a rail construction kit in, we can really start getting some progress made. Now the good thing is the railways are going to be just the one line. The railways, one line is going to go straight across the map. I know where it's going. I have a line drawn in sand across the map, literally a line drawn in sand, and a friend of mine, I've been joking with him, he gets very salty when he plays League of Legends, and I said, oh, I'll play League with you so you get extremely salty because I'm crap. So I'll have a chat with him immediately after recording this, because I'm trying to decide on a game the two of us can play, and it's quite hard. In fact, it's that friend that's just popped up there. Wonderful. We've managed to interrupt both ends of this recording session. Oh, well done. But yeah, this is farm sim mapping. Once we get past the laneways, this is the biggest step. The laneways is the biggest step in the map, because this is what the most of the map is going to be. The hedges are going to be a bit easier, because I can fiddle the hedges, and once the lanes are in, that's the major absolute biggest thing done. And I did reply to him just there because he kept messaging me. And yeah, I've come to the conclusion that scaling these is probably the best thing to do. Scaling all these ramps and slopes. And here I realise that the slopes have really wonky looking end bits, so it's impossible to gauge by the ends. And there I am trying to get the alignment perfect, and that's about as close as I can get, I think. Nope, I'll try and improve it. But yeah, the lanes are the worst thing to put into the map, I think. I probably made a mistake by starting off with the road and lanes. I didn't. I started off with, smoothing terrain and getting the river in properly and that stuff. But once the lanes are in, I think that's going to be the back broken on the map. Because it's kind of, this is cresting the hill now. I'm getting, I'm kind of going uphill. Because, I'm placing things in and having to alter the terrain to fit them. And when I'm putting in most of the other stuff that I'll be putting in Giants Editor, I'll just be flattening terrain around it and kind of sculpting a small bit, not as much as I've been doing. Because I don't mind having, a massive hill in the middle of the farmyard that a building is up against, because, well, that's what you would see here. I've seen it myself, where there's, just a building and behind it is a giant mound of dirt. In fact, one of my aunts lives in a house that every winter, every time it rains pretty much, it floods, because I think I'm trying to work, yes, I've opened calculator, it's open on my second screen, and that kind of makes my entire computer go wonky for a minute. Every winter her house floods, but it only floods when it's been raining. Well, obviously. But it doesn't flood from the rain directly. It floods because that the house backs up onto a dirt mound, essentially. The house it's a really old Irish cottage farmhouse, which is really beautiful, I must admit. The walls are about I'm gonna say about 3 feet thick, and that's kind of classic Irish insulation. Is just build really thick walls, and that way the coal's got to travel further to get to you. And yeah, the house floods, or the kitchen floods, because the water seeps through the wall. Essentially, it goes down into the dirt. So like her house could flood a week after it rains. Like not during the rain, but afterwards when the water is seeping in and seeping down through the dirt. So like if it snows, she could end up with even bigger problems. I've just realised all the ripples turned on. I don't want that for when I'm editing this. I need to figure out a way to keep that turned off. So yeah, fun times. And what am I doing here? Oh, and yeah, I'm putting in a hill. This is. I think I'd get rid of this in the next video, which is fun. So yeah, I'm just kind of trying to get, and you can see the road that I'm trying to get to. Well, you can't see it now. It's just off in the distance there. And in the next video, we do actually make it down there. So, it's not through lack of progress today that things are going slowly. It's just a long process, because, well, it's a long process anyway, because I'm having to scope the terrain and all that. But it's a long process because I'm having to put stuff in and then place it in very specific places, and try and figure out what the best thing is and where I want it to be. So, if you wanted to kind of cheese roadways in a map, you just do it Giants way that they did on Westbridge Hills and have, one road that goes the majority of the map. And it's all kind of... I know that they had to specifically make it, but most of the map was just them using terrain textures. Most of Westbridge Hills is just Giants cheesing roadways, because they got the dirt roads and they got the gravel roads and they've got the asphalt roads, which aren't really asphalt roads but just a painted texture, and that's kind of how to cheese roadways. And I know that Nuston, which I think is one of the best maps released for FS15, has done that. For the majority of the map, it is just cheesed roadways, which is actually perfectly fine. I can understand why they do it in a map that is supposed to be just a random, a farm in England that Pretorius lives near. Actually lives beside it, and so he will know that, hey, most of the roads are gravel. So I'm not going to complain about that. It's just an easier way to do roadways than the way I'm doing it. But unfortunately, almost all the roads in the area are paved, so I don't really have much of a choice. Now I am cheesing some bits because there isn't really... Well, there is actually a forestry area near me, but it's up the mountain. And the mountains are about 2 to 3 miles away from where this map is located, so I decided to turn a preservation forest, which is full of... well, it's a deciduous forest. I decided to turn that effectively into an evergreen forest for logging, which, it works. It's a bit of a cheesy decision to make, but I haven't even made it completely yet. But I will have trees dotted everywhere around the map, even a couple of, probably a couple in fields. However, the ones that are in fields, I will have, I will make sure that they can be cut down, because I'm not that mean. I will be using giant spec trees everywhere, except maybe Yeah, except maybe if I want to do a bit of a boundary between the fields and the edge of the map, I'll put a hedge down and then just put low poly collidable trees in there, just so that it fills the edge out a bit more, because right now it looks a bit bare. And that's a decision that I will I'll have to make in time. I might even try and get some paintable trees. That's kind of a potential decision I could make, is paintable trees, and I don't know if there are any out for Farm Sim 15. I could potentially fiddle with some FS13 ones or something, and change the shaders for FS15 shaders, which isn't much of a big deal. So I could do that, or I could just throw in low poly collidable trees, which is kind of option 2. But that's the decision that'll be coming towards the end of the map, because that's kind of a polish decision that I need to make, is how do I want to polish the turd. And I know some of you guys have been saying, and I really do appreciate this, that the map is looking awesome, despite the fact that it's just some fields and a couple of roads so far. This is just me trying to get a start in mapping. If I'm being honest, I don't know if I'll have this map done for FS15. I can't predict that. When it's done, it's done. I'm not going to give a release date until, I'm putting some polish on it and testing it, and I can say, well, do you know what, these changes will only take a day or two. I can say, well, I'll upload it to FSUK on such and such a date, and it'll be available when FSUK decides it'll be available. I could also just throw a version up on Google Drive, because, well, I will need to put a version up on a Google Drive for the testers, because, oh my god, yes. So that's going to be a thing. What else? Ooh! Just because there's a couple of minutes that I need to essentially kill, I did some research today, and good lord, despite being tired, I kind of got bored of stuff, and I did a bit of research. And on probably Saturday, when I'm going in to see Star Wars, my sister's friend unfortunately is ill at the moment. She has bronchitis, which in my tired state today, I thought my mother said rat poisoning. I was like, what the hell is rat poisoning? Actually, I thought she said rat poison. I was like, okay, but how does rat poison prevent her? Is she eating it? No, she's bronchitis, so she's on an inhaler, etc. On Saturday, conveniently, I'm with a mobile phone carrier that is owned by my ISP. So if there's an internet issue, or I want to do something about the internet, it's all in one shop. Now, I did some digging today on my ISP's website, and they've been advertising that fibre has been available here for a while, and oh well, you can't get it, it's not activated and whatever. I did a bit of digging, and they have a map on their website of where all the fibre cabinets are located in the country. And it's, fibre to cabinet broadband, which is slightly less good than fibre to the house, or whatever it's called. However, I did a look on the map, and I know precisely where I live on the map, which I think everybody should do, is know exactly where your house is located. But I also know where the nearest telephone exchange is. So I pretty much looked up the nearest telephone exchange, which was easy because it's down the road from me. And that was a lovely little green dot saying, fibre available now. So I'm going to have my mother, because it's her name on the bill. She's going to talk to the guys at the shop and see if they can get us on fibre broadband, which means I may be doing live streams in the future. Ho ho ho. They won't be often and they might not be long, but they're a thing. Anyway, we're getting to the end of this video now. We're within the last 30 seconds or so, well within it. So thank you all very, very much for watching. I will see you again tomorrow for more map making on Duneske. Until then, stay safe and goodbye. And I was only off by about 2 seconds. Well done.